All guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 brought to us by the official beer of the program, Johnny Cuba, European roots with that Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager in a can. Pick up a six-pack of Johnny Cuba for yourself. How else are you going to enjoy the Heat and Warriors tonight? Panthers and Bruins, very big sports night. Make sure you always drink responsibly. And, of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. And joining us now is our pal Trysta Krick, one of the big stars, I believe, in the sports talk or gambling space, however you want to put it. Is that a good way to put it there, Trysta?
I think they're two different spaces, and I think you're right on. I think I don't know if I would say that I'm a star, but I would say that I'm in the sports talk and sports betting space. You, sir, though, are a star. You are.
Thank you. Thank you. Two stars here on a Tuesday. Of course, you could see and hear Trysta, Odyssey's BetMGM, every night, 7 to 11 Eastern time weekdays. And you can also catch her on the weekends on WFAN. And we love having her on the program. So, and by the way, Trysta, I've told you this, you're killing it with the short form videos, the little snackable videos you put out there. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you put the video and then your face is in front of it. I don't understand it. All right. It's beyond my comprehension. I'm not good with the technology, but I enjoy watching them.
Thank you. Yeah. Next time I come to Miami or the Miami adjacent area, we'll get you set up on a green screen video right there on your cell phone.
Yes.
You've got lots to say, Zaz. The world needs to hear it right away.
Yes. Yes, that would be great. Let's talk about okay, so from a gambling perspective, and I talked about this a lot last night on ESPN Radio, we were going to talk about Ohtani anyway, and then right before we went on the air, Adrian Wojnarowski drops this story on the lesser-known Porter brother. Hot tip, Trysta, I never heard of Jontay Porter, all right? I'm not afraid to admit it. And we get this Jontay Porter story, so let's start with that. Let's start with Ohtani first, all right? He spoke yesterday. What a joke for anyone to believe that there was going to be anything more than a statement and zero questions.
Yeah, and the whole thing, if we're really going to believe that Shohei Ohtani's best friend that he's known his whole life and translator was making bets, taking from Ohtani's accounts, and that a bookie was allowing this guy who was making very little money to be in debt $4.5 million in sports betting without them coming for his ankles or knees, or also just shutting his account down. Like, I know people who have offshore accounts that'll go in debt $1,000 on an offshore account, and they'll just reach out to everyone that person knows and that is attached to an account, right? So say you were to like refer you to an account and you were down 1,000 and I referred you, that person would be hitting me up immediately being like, hey, I'm shutting your account down. You vouch for this person. If they don't pay me $1,000, $4.5 million, there is just no possible way that Ohtani didn't know anything about it. And furthermore, I think probably, I don't know for sure, but I feel like he's probably involved in some way. This guy is jumping on the grenade for him, like a good friend.
That's the fishiest part to me, what you said there, which is, I mean, maybe the interpreter makes six figures. Maybe. He makes whatever a regular decent job would make. No bookmaker is allowing you to ring up a $4.5 million debt. Now, would they allow someone who just signed a $700 million contract to ring up a $4.5 million debt? I think so. So is that the fishiest detail of this story for you?
Definitely. And then I think at first it was like he did know about it and like it was my debt, but he helped me out. And it's like, no, actually he knew nothing about it. There was no betting on baseball. Actually, there was betting on baseball. I think the fact that the Ohtani representatives and the translator changed their story as well was a little suspicious. The entire thing has a fishy smell all over it. And I tell you what, if it wasn't Ohtani, maybe Rob Manfred comes down harder. I don't think anything happens to Ohtani. He's the cash cow for Major League Baseball. He's a global sensation. He is exactly what this game needs. Also, he's coming off of injury, right? So he's only only allowed to hit. The entire thing, though, to me is just one big hoopla. And I don't think we're ever going to get to the bottom of what really went on, because I don't think anyone really wants to know that Shohei Ohtani, the greatest icon in baseball, is betting on baseball games.
If they were to have opened it up to questions yesterday and you had the first question, what would you have asked based on what he said or didn't say in the statement?
Oh man, that's a great question. Like, are you guys still friends? Because I think they're still hanging out, right? Like, I think recently, after this whole thing, they're still being photographed together. So,
I mean, after the interpreter had the initial interview, they were still together, yucking it up in the dugout in the bottom of the ninth inning.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like much of a betrayal to me. If this guy stole from you, stole $4.5 million from your account to pay off his gambling debts, then explain to me how you're able to have that type of warm and cozy dynamic upon the heels of knowing or just finding out about that betrayal. Also, when did you find out that that money was missing?
I would have to ask him, am I supposed to believe that your interpreter has full access to your bank account?
Yeah,
I mean, how's that
that's
believable?
a great question too. Why? Yeah, also, why does a guy who just simply, quote unquote, is just simply your interpreter, how does he get access to anything other than your words? Right? Like, he's not.
But do you need your bank account interpreted? They're numbers. Numbers are the same every language.
It does. If I had because an interpreter, he's obviously much more than that, right? He's his best friend too. So we can't act like that is like lesser of a role, but we'll just say he was strictly some other thing. Like, even if he was like his driver, it's almost to that same level. Like, my driver.
I think he also served as, by the way. I think he also was his driver.
Yeah. Why does he have such access to everything that you have in your life? He seems more like a business partner to me that also functions as these other roles so that Ohtani can pay him for a bunch of different things. Like, all right, I'll put my friend on. He knows English. He knows Japanese. He can drive. He can translate. He can protect me. Also, the fact that he's a translator is the perfect protection too. Like, anything that Ohtani says that's out of pocket, he'll just cut right out of the translation.
You know what I found was the silliest thing yesterday during that press conference was the interpreter who is essentially like writing stuff down. I mean, am I supposed to believe the interpreter didn't have the statement translated in total English right in front of him? Give me a break, Trysta.
Yeah, it's just out. The whole thing is outrageous. I don't think we're really even talking about it enough, right? I go on SportsCenter and it's kind of like they give you the statement, they tell you what's happening. Nobody wants to weigh in on it. Even me, like, I'm terrified to make statements about whether he knew anything or whether he didn't. This man's got $700 million. He also is deferring that money, which now seems even more suspicious.
Say it right here, Trysta. This is a safe space. Accuse him of illegal gambling. Do it. Say it right here. Do it.
Can't do
you
it.
can do it here.
I can't. I'm just going to say it's awfully suspicious. It's awfully
okay.
Suspicious.
Well, I'll tell you what's awfully suspicious. Nobody knew who Jontay Porter was before around 6:15 p.m. Eastern time yesterday. This Jontay Porter story, this is someone who screams guilty. There is no reason anyone would be betting on Jontay Porter props. And the best way, look, if we're going to talk about a player who's in on the fix and you want to bet totals, you want to bet overs, you don't have full control over that. Like, you could wake up in the morning and say, I feel like I'm going to have a really good game today, but there's another team that's trying to stop you from having a really good game. You could wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I'm going to be dog shit today. And your friends or whoever bet unders, and then you leave the game after a few minutes with a boo-boo tummy, things that people can't prove is an actual injury. Trysta, this Jontay Porter is never playing a game in the NBA ever again.
No, somebody said it on my Instagram, like, I'm betting his overs the next time I see him. And I said, you're never seeing this guy on the basketball court again. Like,
Never.
if you can bet Jonte Porter props in prison, maybe that's when you'll be able to take his statistical categories again. This is the biggest sports betting scandal. It's bigger than Ohtani because Ohtani's right now, we don't know because there's been accusations, but right now there's no signs of Ohtani betting against himself in strikeout props or telling the homies, listen, like, I know my strikeout prop is 9.5. Hammer the under on that. That guy's a star. This guy is a two-way G League player, brother of Michael Porter Jr. I don't even know how player props are available for him. That's how obscure he is. And now the NBA is investigating him for 3 separate games. So in all of those games, you've got multiple accounts trying to bet. So a player prop isn't like a normal game. A normal game, you can put $500,000, $1 million on it, on the over total points, on the actual side of the game. But on player props, Vegas doesn't really invest that much money into researching what a player is going to do. They essentially take the statistical averages and then they set the line there. And then if the total of the game of total points scored is really high, then they'll adjust it. Or if the total is really low, they'll adjust it, right? So they cap it out at like $1,000 or $2,000 per prop. In the Super Bowl, it's a little higher because it's the Super Bowl. But on a day-to-day basis, only like $1,000 to $2,000 can be played on a prop. Now, these people are trying to place $10,000 to $20,000 bets on Jonte Porter props.
Such a red flag.
Yeah, and so the sports book stops them from doing that, but they track everything that you do. And so when you see 50 people, I don't know how many it is, but we'll just say that for an example. 50 people are trying to place a $20,000 bet or multiple $20,000 bets on Jonte Porter under rebounds, under assists, under points and rebounds, under points, rebounds, and assists, under three-pointers. You say to yourself, whoa, this guy is not a guy that really would be attracting that level of interest on either side. We need to look into this. The guy leaves 4 minutes into the game, and it becomes the most profitable NBA bet that night on the board. DraftKings is like, yo, FanDuel, we're getting hammered on this Jonte Porter dude. What's happening with y'all? Oh, yeah, we got crushed on Jonte Porter also. Hey, BetMGM, Jonte Porter is becoming real fishy. Anything happen? Oh, yeah, we got smashed as well. So it's becoming a coordinated and organized thing that has happened on multiple instances. And also, he has taken himself out of the game 4 minutes into the game on his own accord. That is something that you're talking about, a player manipulating the market for their own benefit and changing the integrity of the game. When sports books and leagues are more in bed than ever, you're talking about cracking the foundation of that entire relationship. So he can never play again. He'll probably go to jail. Federal government is on his ass. Best believe Michael Porter is going to be reached out to. Hey, did you know anything about this? Turns out Jonte Porter had a Discord where he was giving out NBA betting advice. Yeah. So that's like a little known fact as well that couldn't make it into the video. He had a YouTube where he was talking about how he took $5,000 and turned it into $100,000 on a crypto scheme. The dude is a scammer, right? Like there's multiple instances where this guy's trying to cheat the system. And in that YouTube, he's also talking about, hey, I basically skirt the rules or I don't play by the rules so that I can make money faster. It's not good for Jonte Porter.
Wow. It's such a stupid, like, it really feels like it was a plan between Jonte Porter and his pals, you know, in like a living room together, taking bong hits. And then it's like, hey, you know, we could make a lot of money. Let's do this. It's such a stupid plan.
Yeah. It's like a guy who never thought he was going to be in the NBA. And now that he's in the NBA, he's like, let me maximize. I'm only going to make the minimum two-way deal with $500,000 a year, which is still a good living, but it's probably only going to last. This gravy train's lasting a year. How can I take every game that I've played, or at least many games that I've played, and maximize that for my own profit for me and the homies? I'm sorry, Jonte. This man was taking 3 years to get back in the league. He's been bouncing around the G League. And 26 games in, you're now banned, probably going to be banned for life. What an
Thought
incredibly
he was
stupid.
so slick when he left that game. Oh, I got a stomach ache. Yeah, I made so much money. Thought he was so slick.
I re-injured my eye. My cornea got scratched. Like it's an SNL skit waiting to happen.
Are you invested in the tournament? Or have you enjoyed the tournament so far? Because I'll be honest, Trista, like maybe from a gambling perspective, you've enjoyed it. I don't know. But honestly, tournament's been a little bit on the lousy side the first week. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is first round, like Thursday, Friday, we had a few upsets, right? The Oakland upset over Kentucky was, I think, intriguing. Yale over Auburn, intriguing. But what we got over the course of the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, I think favorites went 15-1.
Yep.
15-1. So if you're not excited about what you've seen already, which I totally get, because we have had some pretty, like some games where teams were very outmatched, right? Like Duke JMU, for example.
A lot of blowouts.
A lot of blowouts. What that means now is that in the Sweet 16, we're getting heavy hitter matchups.
Yep.
We're getting 1-2s. We're getting 4-1s. So we're going to get to see Duke and Houston. That's what I wanted to see all along. Did not care to see JMU play Duke. Did not care really to see Texas A&M play Duke. I'm glad that Texas A&M did not win that game. They barely made the tournament. They made a deep run in the conference tourney, and they got in. Love Wade Taylor, love Radford, what they're trying to do. But now that we've got chalk on chalk, here's where it gets exciting. I think the Big East got completely hosed. They only got 3 teams in the tournament. All 3 teams are in the Sweet 16. Pac-12 was only supposed to get maybe 1 or 2 teams in the tournament. They had teams outperform in the conference tourney. So you get 4 teams, and those 4 teams all get at least 1 win, right? You get 1 team in the Sweet 16. That's Arizona, but probably Oregon. Not probably. Oregon should have beaten Creighton. There was just, I could go on and on about why that was a mistake to give the ball to a 60% free throw shooter with like 30 seconds left to go and not to take a timeout. Up 4, by the way, at that point in time. So they probably should have beaten Creighton. Colorado could have beaten Marquette. So Pac-12 showed out. So I like that. ACC has been incredible. I think a lot of people thought that the ACC was a top-heavy league. They've been really good. They've got multiple teams into the Sweet 16. Mountain West, I made the mistake of predicting that Nevada would go to the Final Four based on KenPom and statistical categories alone. I am now getting chirped to the end of oblivion about how dumb that was. By the way, they were up 20, and Dayton went on a 24-4 run in order to bounce them out of the first round. So who knows what would have happened if they would have just taken care of business. So, yeah, I think that there's been a lot of interesting storylines, too, like Long Beach State's coach getting fired before the conference tournament and then going on this magical run, getting a bid, and then playing up against one of his best friends in Tommy Lloyd. They were part of the whole Mark Few Rat Pack. He was Monson was, I think, the beginner, like the originator of that coaching tree. So he's like the old head in the crew. That's fascinating.
And how about the AD wanting to take credits for inspiring the kids?
Saying, yeah, like I fired him just to get him fired up, you know?
That's right.
Duquesne's coach retiring right before the tourney and getting a win. That being LeBron James's coach from St. Vincent, St. Mary's. So that was, and now LeBron James's teammate, this short king who's like 5'3" tall, who played overseas in Europe, who played with him in high school, he's going to be the new head coach of Duquesne. So I think there's been storylines. Auburn going down was fascinating. UConn supposedly having like this insanely difficult path in the East, and then everyone going down before they have a chance to really play them, right? So that's kind of fascinating. I love UConn in this tournament to repeat. I have this entire time. I actually have been playing in a survivor pool for like high amount of money, survivor to the money to the winner, and like there's 400 people left out of 1,700. So I am now shaking in my boots.
All right.
Purdue, I didn't even mention Purdue. Purdue's like found a way to, I guess, give the public what they wanted, which is a redemption story. They've looked really good.
Is Zach Edey an NBA player, Trista?
From what I hear, yes. I don't know, but from what I hear, yes. From what I hear from people who scout NBA teams and make decisions for NBA teams, they think he's the real deal. They think that he's going to be hard to deal with. I don't know if he's a starter. He's probably a bench guy. I think he's better than like a Taco Fall. I think people, because he's so tall, I think some people want to compare him to that, a college sensation that didn't translate to the NBA game. But let's be honest, like his body is much more normal than Taco Fall's is. 7'4", 7'6". I think he grew an additional 2 inches. But yeah, there's people who say like he's worth a lottery pick. Jonathan Givony, your teammate on ESPN, says he's a lottery pick. Colleague, yeah.
Let's do a little bit NBA here, Trysta. Boston lost last night to Atlanta. They blew a big lead. Whatever. But if you had to pick a team in the Eastern Conference that is the biggest threat to the Celtics, who is it and why is it the Miami Heat?
Yeah, I mean, it is the Miami Heat, right? Like, the Miami Heat are exactly where they were last year, right? Mm-hmm. And they're sitting there at the 7 seed. They're probably going to play the Hawks again. Like, if you lose to the Sixers with a healthy Joel Embiid, which, let's be honest, like, Heat fans are already getting ready for, right? You're already getting ready for a second play-in game.
We'll beat the Sixers. We're going to beat them and clinch that 7 seed.
So you'll go to the 8 seed, right? You'll play the Hawks. So it'll be a flip. It'll be
or the Bulls again, for that matter. It could be one or the other. Yeah.
You could play one or the other. So you're ready for a matchup. You're ready for a rematch of the play-in, and which is probably going to be dramatic. It's probably going to go down to the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, where I told the world there was no shot you'd lose to the Atlanta Hawks in the play-in. But I know this for sure, that without Trae Young, you will beat them. Against the Bulls, the most clutch team right now in the NBA, that'll go down to the wire. DeMar will try to make your life hell. So then you play the Celtics, right? Play the Celtics in the first round, which to me, for the Celtics, is the worst possible scenario because Drew Holiday still has dead arm. We don't know what that means, when that means he's coming back. Derek White is now banged up. He didn't play last night.
And Drew Holiday, by the way, likely still has nightmares of Jimmy Butler telling him, mind you, when the Heat were still down 6 in the fourth quarter, Jimmy Butler telling Drew Holiday, you can't guard me.
Yes. And Drew Holiday, some people thought Drew Holiday was cooked as a player based on how badly Jimmy Butler put him on the hibachi grill. People were saying he was no longer a good defensive player just because of how good Jimmy Butler was against him. Like, oh man, Drew Holiday's lost his fastball. Drew Holiday, one of the best shooters right now in the league, shooting 43% or 45% from 3. So without him, with a banged up Derek White, I mean, this is the opportunity where you can strike. If I'm the Heat, I want to play the Celtics in the first round, actually.
In the Western Conference, are you willing to say that one of the one of the younger teams, Oklahoma City, Minnesota, New Orleans, maybe even Sacramento, that they have a legit shot in the West? I think Denver is so far and away the best team.
Yeah, you saw them, right? Like, we saw a Miami Heat team that was giving everyone problems, right?
Yeah.
Gave the Bucks problems, made light work of them, the Sixers problems, the Celtics problems. That was a murderer's row to get through the East. And then you play a Nuggets team that's kind of had to just really sailed through, pretty much sweeps the whole way outside of, I guess, one. It's the Timberwolves. And I was in that game, what was it, game 4, game 3? I forget, in Miami. And I was like, there's maybe 4. I was like, there's just no shot. This Heat team.
Impossible. He's impossible.
There's no way to solve the problems. Like, the only thing that anyone in the West can hope for, and you never root for this, is injuries, right? Like, if Jamal Murray's not playing or if Aaron Gordon's not playing, then they're vulnerable, right? Without Jamal Murray, I think they're very vulnerable. But that ankle sprain that he recently had, I don't think is a big deal. So without, barring injury, the Nuggets are just a monster. And I think Michael Malone is the best coach in that conference. No shade to Ty Lue, but what he's been able to do, he's created unsolvable problems on defense and on offense. And let's be real, a lot of people thought that Nikola Jokic was a really bad defender and that would be the downfall for the Nuggets. He's actually been a really good defender, especially in pick and roll. He's been top tier in pick and roll coverage. So he's gotten better as a defender. His vision, as we know, is insane. The role players, I think, are still good enough. You're seeing young guys step up without Bruce Brown. KCP is still there. So, yeah, I think there's going to be some teams that make it tough on them. And I don't think it's going to be a sweep the whole way. But I think it's Denver's party. I think it's Denver's party pretty much the whole way through.
I think so, too. Trysta, you've been excellent, but I can't let you go before I do a little TV or movies with you, because the last time we
Ooh,
had
love
you
it.
on, you suggested, I asked you what you were watching. You suggested Goliath for me and my wife. We loved Goliath. All right. We banged through it. I don't know, all 4 seasons in like 3 or 4 weeks. We loved Goliath with Billy Bob
So
Thornton.
good.
What are you watching now? Do you have any other suggestions?
Have you seen Fargo yet, the TV show series?
No. I would like, it's on my list. I would like to get to
So
it.
another Billy Bob phenomenon. Fargo
Yeah.
season 1 is Billy Bob, and if you liked his performances in Goliath, I think you'll like him in Billy Bob, or like him in Fargo. Each season is different. Season 1 and season 2 of Fargo are somewhat connected. I think they're really good. I just finished Queen of the South, which
Oh, is that good?
yeah, it was good. It was season like 4 and 5 gets a little like, but seasons 1, 2, and 3 really good. It's about a money changer from Sinaloa, Mexico, who gets involved with the Mexican cartel, and she rises from basically being on the run from the cartel to being the leader of the biggest cartel in the world. So it's pretty good, and directed by women.
Have you watched True Detective at all?
I watched the latest one with Jodie Foster. Really good.
Okay, yeah. So my wife and I we have like, I think we have 1 episode left. All right, and I've seen all the previous seasons. I mean, the first one is one of the all-time great television series. And I'll be honest with you, we're watching this one right now. I don't know if it's good or not. I'm just kind of watching. I don't know if what I'm watching is a good show.
It's weird. I would say it's weird and it's scary. And you're going to get resolutions similar to the True Detective for season 1, where you're like, oh, is this some weird ghost mystical stuff? And then there's like an explanation for it. So you'll get the explanation for it soon. I think in the last episode, you've got to be probably waiting on the edge of your seat. It was fine. I don't like scary stuff. I usually don't really like True Detective. I just think it's kind of like a little too much for me. They want to I either want true crime or I want sci-fi. I don't really want true crime and sci-fi. So it was fine. It was like
any movies? Have you watched any movies recently?
Movies. No, I watched Dynasty though. Did you see that?
No, what is that?
The documentary about the Patriots.
Oh, the New England Patriots. Oh, no, I haven't watched. I don't know.
Yeah, gotta see it.
I hate the Patriots. I got to sit there and hear about Belichick and all the. I don't know. I don't know that I'm going to enjoy that.
As an AFC East rival, it's got to be tough for you. But I think Tom Brady's story is amazing. I think you probably saw this on Twitter, but I got to meet him and do an event with him.
Yes,
for the Super Bowl.
Right?
Yeah, and I've never been like a Tom Brady stan or anything, but that man's got the juice. He's got the juice. You feel the glow of his charisma. He cusses more than me, which is pretty surprising, right? Like at this event, couldn't have your phones out. There's no cameras, no phones. And I'm sorry, that's my email just going off. Email's just going off, Zaz. So it's no phones, no cameras. So there's kids in this VIP event for BetMGM. It was to unveil the Super Bowl commercial for BetMGM. So they did the event for like 50 VIPs. And I was like introducing them. And he cussed in there and he was like, oh fuck, there's a kid in the room. I didn't even realize. Oh shit, I just cussed again. Like, damn it, man, I'm so sorry. He can't stop cussing. So I met him, and then on the heels of meeting him, watched Dynasty, and it kind of helped put some of the things that he said into perspective at the event, which was, number one, he didn't start playing football until he was like 15 years old.
Really?
Which is crazy. They thought, him and his dad thought that he was only going to be able to go to like a school no one's ever heard of, ever. Like a D3 school, like in, Waukene, Kansas kind of a thing. And somehow his dad got the delusions of sending his tape to Michigan. So they sent the tape in and Michigan said yes. He preferred practice over games. And because he's like, nobody's critiquing, especially at the end of my career, nobody's critiquing the spiral on my football. Nobody's wondering whether I still have the arm strength. Nobody's going after every single snap. So he enjoyed that. And you'll learn this in Dynasty as well. But he said, I told my boys, as soon as I get that football, I'm never giving it back. I don't care who's in front of me. As soon as Drew Bledsoe goes down, he's like, he's never seeing the field again. And people are like, yo, this guy just got $100 million. He's never seeing the field again. Never seeing the field again.
I like that. I like that part. If it was mostly about Brady, I think I'd be more into it. Otherwise, I don't know.
First 3 seasons are Brady, but a lot of it's about the relationship breakdown between Belichick and Brady. So they talk about that.
Okay.
Yes. Right. They discuss why like Brady and Belichick just did not speak towards the end. Didn't speak to each other at all. They had intermediary players that would be like, hey, tell Tom this. Hey, tell Bill this.
Oh, wow. Wow. Trysta, excellent job as always. You said it all. Where can we see and hear you as always? Tell everybody.
7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern. That's BetMGM tonight. You can find that on the Odyssey app. There's a bunch of terrestrial stations that probably are in your city that you can find it in live. If you prefer video, we're on Twitch and we're on YouTube. I have a podcast that Jonathan listens to called The Heat Check, where we talk about the NBA. We talk about storylines, kind of break it down in a funny way, make sense of it. And then WFAN on the weekends as well. That's 6:60 a.m. You can find that on the Odyssey app as well. And then on social, at Trysta Krick on Instagram, at This Heat Check on TikTok, and at Trysta Krick on Twitter.
Awesome. I've told you guys, even though for a while last year or in the offseason, you guys were very mad at Trysta because of all the Damian Lillard stuff, I try and tell people, listen, she's excellent, all right? She doesn't have to love the Heat. All right. So, and even though she has a blood feud with Miami Herald's Barry Jackson, I told you she is still one of the best out there. Trysta, excellent job. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Thanks, Zaz. Love you, boy.